The sun of late afternoon blazed across the fractured asphalt of a small-town gas station, its heat shimmering upward in waves as vehicles arrived and departed. The smell of gasoline lingered thick in the atmosphere, blending with the subtle scent of fried food wafting from a diner on the opposite side of the street. Yet amid what ought to have been an unremarkable, forgettable afternoon, something transpired that would be permanently imprinted in the hearts of all who saw it unfold. A solitary woman positioned herself at the fourth pump, her aging minivan trembling softly as its engine ran. She was Marissa Cole, a single mother barely keeping her existence intact. And she had no notion that in mere moments she would find herself encircled first by malice and then by unforeseen deliverance. Before I guide you further into this narrative, take a moment to pause. If your heart holds space for kindness, for fresh starts, and for the strength of individuals to defend what is just, please like this video, share it with someone in need of encouragement, and subscribe to Untold Stories 0.4. Your engagement enables us to continue sharing stories that serve as reminders to the world of the goodness that still exists. Marissa's afternoon had been turbulent even before she arrived at the station. Her restaurant shift had extended beyond schedule. Her wages had fallen short once more, and the list of school supplies her young son had given her that morning seemed like an insurmountable obstacle. Her van, maintained through adhesive tape and faith, was sputtering on its final drops of fuel. She gathered the meager dollars remaining to her to purchase gas, praying it would sustain her until her upcoming paycheck arrived. Existence had etched deep marks into her youthful features. Yet her eyes, despite their weariness, retained a subdued intensity, the kind exclusively possessed by mothers who battle for their children's sake. As she remained at the pump, searching for loose change in her threadbare wallet, a trio of men strutted out from the convenience store. They weren't from the area, boisterous, marked with ink, wearing derisive smiles spread across their features. They moved with the hubris of men who believed they commanded every environment they entered. One discarded an empty beverage can onto the pavement, and another noticed Marissa. That was the moment their vicious amusement commenced. They moved in closer, their voices escalating. They ridiculed her looks, derided her failing minivan, and jeered about her solitude. One even grabbed for her purse, hanging from her shoulder, laughing as though she were merely cheap entertainment on their path toward their next reckless choice. Marissa's hands shook as she gripped the fuel nozzle more firmly, her chest constricting with terror. She looked around, but the station was virtually deserted. No one stood near enough to assist. The image of her young son awaiting her return home rushed through her consciousness. She couldn't crumble. Not at this moment. Yet internally, she felt herself breaking. The mockery of the thugs intensified, reverberating across the lot when abruptly the rumbling commenced. A deep, constant thunder that emerged from the distance, intensifying with every passing moment. Initially, the men remained oblivious, but Marissa noticed. She turned her gaze toward the highway, and her eyes expanded. Approaching like an incoming tempest were close to a dozen motorcycles, their chrome shining beneath the brutal sun, their motors bellowing like untamed beasts. The gas station appeared to vibrate as they entered, one following another, creating a formation that seemed simultaneously threatening and majestic. It was the Hells Angels. The thugs became motionless, their arrogant grins wavering. These riders weren't merely men atop machines. They were icons clad in leather, carrying an atmosphere that hushed the air surrounding them. Their commander, a massive man with silver woven through his facial hair and a stare as piercing as forged metal, dismounted from his Harley. His vest displayed the emblem that made full-grown men reconsider before uttering a word. His footwear struck the pavement with a force that appeared to rattle the tarmac. Without uttering a sound, he and his brothers advanced forward, creating a semicircle around Marissa, their presence enveloping her in a barrier of defense. The thugs, abruptly robbed of their false courage, stammered justifications. One attempted to dismiss it with laughter, but his voice fractured beneath the pressure of the silence emanating from the bikers. The commander didn't elevate his tone. He had no need to. His gaze fixed upon them, and the meaning was unmistakable. Depart or face consequences for every breath you presume to take here. Within seconds, the three men retreated, tripping over themselves as they rushed toward their vehicle. Their tires shrieked as they escaped the lot, abandoning nothing except their cowardice and the residue of their arrogance. Marissa's legs nearly buckled, the surge of adrenaline clashing with her fatigue. She hadn't been aware she was restraining her breath until it emerged in an unsteady release. The bikers remained positioned where they stood, quiet, vigilant, as though confirming the danger had genuinely passed. Then the commander turned toward her. For an instant, she anticipated criticism, her shabby attire, her deteriorating van, her vulnerable condition. But what she discovered in his gaze wasn't sympathy. It was honor. He offered her a nod, the sort of acknowledgement that communicated, "You're not abandoned. You remained resilient. We're protecting you now." One of the bikers discreetly retrieved his wallet, placing several bills into her palm without fanfare. Another examined beneath the hood of her van, tightening a loosened connection and refilling her oil from a container he kept. They operated without conversation, without requiring gratitude. Marissa's tears flowed unrestrainedly then, not from terror, but from the staggering kindness she never anticipated receiving. For years, she had waged every struggle in isolation. And now, for the first time in an extended period, someone positioned themselves at her side. The engines thundered once more as the angels readied themselves to depart, their presence still deafening and authoritative. Before he climbed onto his bike, the commander regarded Marissa one final time. His statement was straightforward, but it held the significance of a vow. Continue forward. You're more powerful than you realize. Then, with a deafening symphony, they departed, vanishing down the highway like a tempest receding toward the distant skyline. Marissa remained standing there, clutching the fuel pump and the folded currency, her heart racing with appreciation. The terror that had previously seized her chest had vanished, supplanted by an unusual and restorative warmth. She understood the path before her would remain difficult, the expenses still substantial, the evening still lengthy. But something had transformed deep within her that afternoon. For the first time in what felt like forever, she felt acknowledged, safeguarded, and reminded that goodness could manifest even in the bleakest of circumstances. If this narrative has resonated with your heart, please like, share, and subscribe to Untold Stories 0.4. Assist us in distributing these reminders of humanity's radiance and inform the world that kindness, bravery, and compassion remain significant. And before this narrative concludes, I want to pose something meaningful to you. Leave a comment below. Express whether you believe instances like this, when strangers defend the defenseless, continue to exist in our modern world. Your perspective holds value here, and your experiences might uplift someone else.